So what's up, everybody? Go on over to my YouTube, and that's where we're gonna get started. That's where we're gonna see where everybody is on and all that. Peace, peace, peace. Jaguar, Jaguar, CO, CO. See you popped up on the popped up on YouTube. Appreciate that. Everybody go to YouTube so I can go ahead and start the lesson. All right. That stuff is really low tonight. Somebody must be on right now. Somebody must be on. Gotta be on. Shoot. Where is it? What's up, family? What's up? What's up? Peace, Jackson. See, Jackson made it over there. I'm just waiting, know what I'm saying, for everybody else to go ahead and get on to the other side. Appreciate that. CO, CO, CO. Prophet, go ahead and begin right now. So basically, the what the live is going to be today is going to be about how did the Indians became white. That's what the lives. That's what the live is about. How did the Indians became white? And to clarify, what is a Indian? What truly is an Indian? Yes, I am switching to YouTube. Not right now. It's gonna be. I'm gonna be going over slowly. I'm still gonna be doing the TikTok thing. Yes, but I'm gonna be doing more YouTube because TikTok it really doesn't pay you that much compared to YouTube. So that's what we're doing right now. We're gonna learn why the Indian is white today. When I say white, I'm talking about like a high yellow color or up to white. How did they become white? Anybody? Do y'all know? How did the Indian become white? When they came over here, they automatically knew who an Indian was. So now all of a sudden they changed the narrative. They reclassified everything and they made it a positive thing. But originally the term Indian was a negative thing. It only applied to certain peoples. Now they changed it and gave it to another group of people. So go over there to YouTube, go to my YouTube, go to Naturalism of Yahweh on YouTube, so you may know how did this happen. Because I'm gonna shut down this live on TikTok. Just letting you know, it's not gonna stay up. So go over there to my YouTube, and yes, I know it's such a drag, blah blah blah. Won't you just keep it on TikTok, blah blah blah? Shh, I don't get paid like that. I don't get paid like that. Gregory, bring your ass to YouTube so you can learn, so you can know if I know what I'm talking about. Bring yourself to YouTube so you won't hit the report button as soon as your feelings get hurt. Go ahead. Come on. Let's see. OC Frank, I see you glad I got to catch up. They decided to steal your identity. Exactly, bro. $5 patini and look, y'all going live in the chat on the YouTube chat. Facts. It's facts. So to go ahead and get started, those of y'all that's on YouTube, I know y'all can see my screen. Here we go. Like I said, everybody go to my YouTube if you want to see what's being displayed on the screen. Lady Mimi 78. What's up, sis? What's up, sis? So like I said, if you want to know what's being displayed on the screen, go to my YouTube. It's in the background right there. So let me check out my OBS to see how everything looking. Okay, cool. We straight. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is get an edification on the term Negro, right? So way back then, what did the word Negro really mean? Let's go. So I pull this up once I can find it. If they can let me get to the definition, maybe I can show you. So yeah, I think it's in classification. I think that's where I put it. The definition. Did I put the definition in here? No. Then it got to be depiction. Depictions. Is it depictions? Nope. So you go to my YouTube if you want to know. Where's your info? It's right there. Those of y'all that's on TikTok, my information is in the backdrop right there. You can see my information. Labelism. That's it. Here we go. This book right here is called The Facts on the Foul Encyclopedia of Word and Phrase Origins, the 4th edition by Robert Hendrickson. Right? Here we go. So to get a clarification, you got to know what the N word applied to. You got to know what the term Negro had applied to for you to get the true understanding of that. Fresh here from TikTok. Appreciate that, Aquarius. We got Aquarius in the building. Trying to see the participants. All right. I told y'all, go to YouTube if you want to know. If you want to see the screen, go to YouTube. I'm not going to have this up long. I'm not going to have TikTok up long. So I don't know why you still right there. So right here, the N word. Nigger, N word. It means when used by a white person to describe a black or African American person. It's still the same thing. I don't know why they made a difference in that, but it's still the same thing because both of them is a misnomer. And it says this probably the most offensive, hateful, hurtful term in the language today. But when you go on down, right there, what's your page name? My name is right here in the background. It says go to Naturalism of Yahweh YouTube. YouTube name, Naturalism of Yahweh. Come on now, is y'all looking at the background or y'all just looking at me? Look at the background, then go to YouTube. Now it says the N-word right here. It says the N-word has also been an offensive derogatory term applied to Indians as well as blacks up until recent times. Let me read that again. It says the N-word has always been an offensive derogatory term applied to Indians as well as blacks up until recent times. Letting you know that there is no difference between an Indian and a black person. According to the Word and Phrase Origins 4th edition, the Facts on File Encyclopedia, there is no difference between the N-word, blacks, and Indian. Letting you know they all the same thing. But in modern terms, they change it because it became beneficial. It became beneficial because of land. That's why. Land, gold, resources, things like that. I'm just getting you the edification before we tap in into this. How did the Indian become white? How did the Indian become white? So like I said, if y'all want to know what's going on, if you want to see the screen, the things that's being displayed, please go to YouTube right now because I got the live going on YouTube right now and I got the live going on TikTok. This is the only thing you're going to see on TikTok, just that background. So if you want to see what the hell is being displayed on the screen, go to YouTube, subscribe to my page, and you're going to see what's being popping off right now. You're going to see what's popping off right now. Okay? So everybody got the edification, right? Aquarius, I'm about to wash my hair and listen BRB. Cool. All right? Hold on. Let me bring that back up because all of it's not popping up. It just says top. Live chat. Here we go. What the hell? Come on. Don't bring this up. If you're seeing this on YouTube, my bad. I did not mean to click that. Okay. Yeah, you thought they was always described as red, but that is not true. They were described as many various colors of brown. But you see right here, there's a reason why I tapped into that. Now, Native Americans, what did they call you? Hold on, we still got to tap in more into this N word, but we're going to get there. Okay, according to the Oxford Dictionary, the N word also meant this: a dark-skinned person of any origin. A dark-skinned person of any origin. Use your head. A dark-skinned person of any origin. So what does that mean? According to the Oxford Dictionary of 1846, an N-word meant a dark-skinned person of any origin. So when you bring your mindset all the way back to 1619, 1592, 1492, when they said the N-word, you got to know who the hell are they talking about. Is they talking about Africans? Is they talking about Americans? Is they talking about N-words from Europe? Is they talking about N-words from the Pacific Isles? Is they talking about N-words anywhere in the country, anywhere around the world? Because when you learn the true history about servitude, you learn that we had a Pacific slave trade popping off at the same time as the Atlantic slave trade. You learned there was a lot of blacks coming over here from the Pacific Islands to the Caribbeans, to Mexico, to New England. And all of them were deemed as N-words. Then once you understand what white really mean, white did not mean skin color. Originally, white did not mean skin color. It was a certain status of freedom. Once you read the Racial Integrity Act, even though I'm jumping the gun right now, once you read the Racial Integrity Act by Dr. Walter Plecker, you will learn that white ain't has shoot to do with skin color. White ain't had nothing to do with skin color. It only has something to do strictly with freedom and status. Walter Plecker was trying to stop so-called black people from becoming white. Once you remove colorism from these terms, then you will understand what was really taking place. Right? This is also teaching you a huge lesson, because when you start to do your genealogy and you see N-word, 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 then black, 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 color, color, mulatto, and all this other stuff, then all of a sudden, how this person went from black to white or white to black, but you didn't see the term mulatto nowhere. So that meant something else. And it had nothing to do with skin color. Again, Dr. Plecker has something to do with this that a lot of people did not understand. We're going to dive into the Racial Integrity Act before we find out why did the Indians became white. Why did they remove the term Indian from so-called real people of color to Mongolian Americans and white people? Why did they do that? Why did they change it? Don't shoot the messenger. Peace, Blue Jen. Peace, Blue Jen. Peace, peace, peace. I'm telling y'all, if y'all want to see what's on my screen, go to my YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube. Let me set up the poll right now. Go to my YouTube right now. Go to my YouTube. Follow Naturalism of Yahweh. Click the first thing you see right now on my page on YouTube right now to see the backdrop what's popping off on YouTube. What you seeing on TikTok is not what you're seeing on YouTube. So you got to go to YouTube to see what the hell I am talking about. I'm up to 104 viewers on YouTube. I guess y'all just like the sound of my voice. And y'all just trust my word or something. But y'all need to go to YouTube to see what's being displayed so you can get your screenshots, so you can have your source, so you can make your own content for those of y'all that's in this field, so you can have your own content so you can produce to the masses. Because when one person wake up one person, that person wake up another. This source do not belong to me. It belongs to all of us. You just haven't came across it yet. So go to YouTube to get your screenshots. Don't just trust my word. Go get the evidence. All right? Naturalism of Yahweh on YouTube. Peace, Rainy, Storm, you here? Osio. Peace, facts over they feelings. Try business. Facts. Here we go. So you see a dark-skinned person of any origin in earlier U.S. Now you see the rest of this right here. It says in early U.S. usually with reference of American Indians. This is from the Oxford Dictionary. They giving references underneath this source. It says 1843, 1857, 1869, 1899, all the way up to 1994. It's telling you that American Indians was synonymous with the N-word. With the N-word. So Native Americans, there's a reason why they don't want to be called Indian. Because if you go do your due diligence on the term Indian, it would go all the way back to the N-word. And then they're going to be like, uh-oh. Why don't they want to be called Indians? If it's synonymous to indigo and N-word and colored and African American, even though you wasn't African. Right? I'm looking at the YouTube camera. Right? So once you start to understand all these racial systematic terms, the N-word got so many misnomers and words that is synonymous with it that it only leads back to the melanin man and melanin woman and not these other people. You get what I'm saying? Shout out First Place. You made it over here to YouTube. You're doing your due diligence. You learning. You took an order. Because I told everybody to come to YouTube. They still over here on TikTok, 112 going strong. What is going on here? If you want to see the screen, go to YouTube. Because I told you my TikTok is not fit to beat up here on this live long. Unless you just want to hear my voice. Unless you just want to hear my voice. All right? Because that would be a boring ass live to me if I'm just looking at a background that says, go to Naturalism Yahweh YouTube. YouTube name, Naturalism Yahweh. Topic, how did Indians become white? You see the YouTube icon right here in the background of TikTok, yet you did not go all the way to YouTube to see what the hell's going on. That's crazy to me. Unless you're just purely lazy. I don't know. You don't have a link to click, so you will have to type Naturalism of Yahweh on YouTube to get this understanding, to see exactly what I'm talking about, right? Now, according to Jack Forby's book, again, you're not gonna see this if you're on TikTok. You got to be on YouTube to watch it. I got 2 lives going on right now at the same time. It says African and Native Americans, the language of race and the evolution of the red-black peoples by Jack D. Forby. And this was a Native American telling the truth. This was a Native American telling the truth. They hate Jack Forby. They call him a traitor. Let me tell y'all a little something too. Recently, my team, I like to call them my team, my family, they've been having Native Americans on their panels, right? And a few of these Native Americans came up and they was like, they finna start telling the truth. Tell me why these people became neo-Nazi on them to their own people, calling them wabos, derogatory terms just because they came out and tell the truth. I thought we was all for peace and unity. Why are you doing it to your own people? This information that we've been wanting you to come out and tell the truth on, you've been safe keeping it for I don't know what reasons. Well, I really do. And now you becoming a Nazi on them, on your own people. That is outrageous and hypocritical. Okay, we got a lot more people on YouTube. Okay, cool. OCO Willie. OCO family. OCO King Soul. OCO Madman Rock. Tanya OCO. Michael Sanford. OCO. Okay. In Jack Forby's book, it says, as the reader will see, there is hardly a racial term which has a clear and consistent meaning over time and space. For example, the term Indian or Indio has been applied to many peoples, including Indians of South Asia, as well as all groups found in the West Indies, the Americas, in the East Indies, the Filipinos, Chinese, Japanese, etc. We're talking melanated beings. If you haven't watched my Pacific Islander Pacific slave trade video, live video stream, it's on YouTube. You can watch that. Those was applied to the melanated beings of those lands. It wasn't applied to the Mongolianoid people of those lands. But it said the term Negro has been applied to black Africans. Why did they say black Africans two misnomers, right? And it says the Indians of India, and it says Native Americans, Japanese, slaves of whatever ancestry. Black has been used for all of the above and for non-whites in general. So you got to change your perception of the N-word when it comes down to history. You got to. Here we go. As below. ABS. I think that's your name. Spread the knowledge. Peace, Nat. Here we go. How many people we got? How many people we got? Before I shut this live down TikTok, how many people we got? We still don't got that many. We still don't got that many, but it's cool. It's cool. We're teaching a lesson right now. All right. So we jumping on down. It says the key terms. Now it says it was first necessary to focus upon a clarification of such racial and ethnic terms as were used in colonial and early national periods. Key terms including mulatto, pardo, color, free color. You already know who was called color. Come on, people. You know who was called color. You already know who was called color. And it says free color, N-word, Zambo and Sambo, Musty, and Mestizo. You see? So you got to apply all these terms. Who is these terms was going to? Because when we look at your birth certificates, people, when you go to these birth certificates, is any of these racial terms on your birth certificates? Native Americans, I know it's not on yours. All right. So this live is about to end. I told y'all, go to YouTube, go to Naturalism of Yahweh if you want to see this live. This live is live streaming right now on YouTube. So I'm going to go ahead and end this live in about 5 minutes. Get on over there. I got the information in the background. All right. I got the information in the background. You can spell it. Naturalism of Yahweh. All right. So y'all see, y'all get the edification, right? Now let's get the last edification. So you know what the N-word and all that apply to. Now let's deal with the Native Americans of today. Let's deal with the Native Americans of today. What was they called during those times? Making Indians White. That was the name. That's the name of the folder. In this book right here, this book called Siberia. Right here. This book right here is going to tell you. All right. We're going to start right here. It says the third type of natives is that of the American Indian type. Here we go. Now we for the end of live. For the end of live on TikTok. Go to YouTube. Because that's where it's being live streamed on. All right. For the ending. Okay. Got my chat popping. What's up, y'all? What's up? Those that made it, those that made it, those that didn't, oh well. But it says the third type, this is what they call the American Indians. Let me make sure my camera's straight. Okay, this is what they call the Native Americans, right? It says the third type of natives as that of the American Indian type, that American genius of adventure and travel, John Ledyard, about whom more will be said anon, was thoroughly convinced that the American Indian had made his way from Siberia across the Bering Strait in prehistoric times. That wasn't prehistoric times. That was also the firm opinion of that other traveler and explorer, George Kennan. One of America's greatest scientists, Dr. Alice Hardlicka, Herdicka, whatever that name is, because it looked like it's some type of German shit. But it says of the Smithsonian Institute has stated the Mongols of today resemble the American Indians so closely that if their clothing were the same, the anthropologist himself would not be able to tell them apart. Hold on, let's repeat that again. It says, this according to the Smithsonian Institute, the museum. This is what they said about the Native Americans today, people, today. It says that the Smithsonian Institute, has stated that the Mongols of today resemble the American Indians so closely that if their clothing were the same, the anthropologist himself would not be able to tell them apart. What do people tell us today? They say, hey, y'all look like Africans. You look like African. You look like African. If I throw some African clothes on you, I would not be able to tell you apart. Native Americans. Come on now. Now it says too closely that if their clothing were the same, the anthropologist himself would not be able to tell them apart. It says the Mongol, according to much credible evidence, crossing from Siberia to the American continent, became the Indian. What's up? No. It says such. What? Nah. It says such Mongol American Indian inhabitants of Siberia are the Chokis or whatever. And it says, which means rich in reindeer. It says their name has been changed by the Soviets. Okay, say all that because they look like a long Russian word. As if they had not been enough trouble in the world already. These people have the Indian aquiline nose and has prominent cheekbones. They are tall and angular. Many of their customs, arts, and rites resemble those of the Indians of America. He talking about the Mongolians. Now we got a Pacific people in Siberia right now called the Chukchis or whatever it is, which means rich in reindeer. The Russians saying these people cause trouble wherever they go. And he said their customs are so similar to the Indians of America. Now you see right here, he called them Mongol American Indians. So I'm showing you this because this is what they was called. They was not called American Indians. They was not called Native Americans. They was called Mongol Americans. Good thing you ended the live on TikTok. They would have banned your live after that drop. Yes, sir, they would have. They would have. Right? So let me check how many people here. All right, cool. All right. So that's what they would have been called. So let's go. We're going to this article. Man, I thought I saved the name of the article. Oh, here it is. There we go. We're going to this right here. It says making Indians white. The judicial abolition of native slavery and revolutionary Virginia and its racial legacy. All right. Now it says in 1772, George Mason, later famous as the father of the Bill of Rights, represented a slave named Robin and 11 other enslaved plaintiffs in the General Court of Virginia, the colony highest court. The slaves claimed that maternal descent maternal descent from American Indian made their enslavement illegal. Remember, the American Indians is who? The N-word. Enslavement illegal. And massive Marshall arguments from natural law and statutory history to support the contention. In a terse one paragraph opinion typical of the era, the court agreed freeing the plaintiffs and ordering their former masters to pay them normal damages. So you see what's going on in 1772? These American Indians demanding their freedom. The slaves claimed their maternal descent from the American Indians made their enslavement illegal. These are blacks saying, hey, I am an Indian. It is illegal. You cannot enslave me. All right? And it says the freedom suits were common in colonial Virginia, although defined as property for almost all legal purposes and denied rights of citizenship. Slaves could allege illegal enslavement and sue for their freedom. So I remember when I had a live and there was a bunch of people sitting up there getting angry with me because I said the only way to become a slave, a real slave in America, is to go to court and become a slave. And the only way for you to become free is to go to court and be free. You will have to fight for your freedom. You will always have to fight for your freedom during these times. Just like today. If you're going to be a slave today, you're going to go to court. If you demand your freedom, you got to go to court. Everything you do, ever since the British Crown came to America, everything revolved around courts. They didn't just willy-nilly did shit. They had to go to court to do everything. Right? So since they made Indian slavery illegal by 1772, black people was rising up saying, hey, I am Indian descent. But if these people already know they was Indians, why they were so hesitant to not let them free? It's because, again, 8% of Africans came to North America. And those 8% of Africans intermingled with some of the Indians here, which fucked up a lot of stuff. So therefore, they were like, hey, no, you got African blood. They knew what they was doing. And a lot of times, Indians was being shipped overseas, and they was calling these people Africans when they really wasn't. It was really called Law of the Water. Really renaming people. Right? So it says, where I am, courts recognize such claims throughout the slaveholding in South from slavery, 17th century beginnings onward. These suits offer one of the few routes to manumission in early America. The ordinary posture of Robin versus Hardaway case. You can read this case on your own. It says, though be led its extraordinary results. The court's decision marked a watershed in the legal history of Virginia slavery. It was the first recorded holding in the Anglo-American court that maternal descent from the American Indians alone established the right to freedom. This outcome was remarkable in the context of early America, where despite present-day conceptions that all slaves were Africans, right? An Indian slave was ubiquitous, right? So you see what's going on here. It don't matter. It really didn't matter where you came from. It didn't matter where you came from. They automatically, by 1772, they called everybody a slave African. Everybody was a slave. They automatically called you an African. It didn't matter if you came from the Pacific Islands. It didn't matter if you came from England. It didn't matter where you came from. You was called an African. In those days, they couldn't even tell the difference between an Indian and an African. That's why you hear these stories about Harry Truman. That's why you will see like a lot of people in those times, like when they were saying that some people was hiding among the Indians. Africans had to hide among us. They was the only people that kind of looked like us. So based off those stories, you should know that the Indians were melanated people, not Mongoloid people. So it says, here we go. It says, where we at? The outcome was remarkable. Yeah, it said all slavery was African. Indian slavery, all right, I already got that. It says Indian slaves could be found in all 13 mainland British colonies in 1772, as well as the French and Spanish colonies. Right? So you see, they was out here just calling anybody African, regardless of origin, regardless of place. It doesn't matter. They was calling everybody African. So it says in this book, the Bureau of American Ethnology, to the Secretary of the Smithsonian Institute, 1897 to 98, by J.W. Powell. See, right here, this is going according to what I was just reading right here. To show you that these people were black people, the Indians were black people, that couldn't tell the difference between so-called Americans and Africans. All right. And it says, in regard to the contract between two races, by which stories could be borrowed from one by the other, it is not commonly known that in all the southern colonies, Indian slaves were brought and sold and kept in servitude and worked in the field side by side with N-words up to the time of the Revolution. Right? And it says not to go back to the Spanish period when such things were the order of the day. We find that the Cherokee, as early as 1693, complaining that their people were being kidnapped by slave hunters. Hundreds of captured a Tuscarora. I can't really pronounce that. Tuscarora, and nearly the whole tribe of the Appalachian were distributed as slaves among the Carolina colonies in the earlier part of the 18th century, while the Natchez and others were shared a similar fate in Louisiana. And as late at least as 1776, Cherokee prisoners of war were still sold to the highest bidder for the same purpose. Sound like Roots, don't it? It sound like Roots, don't it? And it says at one time it was charged against the governor of the South Carolina that he was provoking a general Indian war by his encouragement of slave hunts. Furthermore, as the coast tribes dwindled, they were compelled to associate and intermarry with the N-words until they finally lost their identity and were classed with that race, so that a considerable portion of blood of the southern N-words was unquestionably Indian. And you see these two down here. Right? So again, the people we was mixing with, again, it was only 8%. It was less than 30,000 Africans that came here. Not denying the African slave trade. Not denying the African slave trade. But the reason they say we look alike is because these people again, was coloristic. Just like how they'll say, oh, you can't tell the difference between Asians and all this other stuff. You actually can, but we was dealing with a racist people. We were intermingling a lot with other people from the Pacific Isles and Africa and other places that they really couldn't tell us apart. So eventually, they just started telling us apart from culture wise. But again, we was dealing with racist ass people. And again, let me show you this real quick. Show you this again, so y'all get the understanding what I'm talking about. Even though it said, oh yes, these people mix with N words and all this other stuff, get the understanding that black people, get back, that black people, a dark skinned person of any origin in early U.S. and early United States, use usually with reference of American Indians, the N word, right? So they telling you right here, even in this part right there, the heathen, indigent N words, letting you know right there. Even in this book right here, the American Historical Record, in this book right here, it tells you, it says here the terms colored persons, blacks, and Indians are synonymous. Here the terms colored persons, blacks, and Indians are synonymous. So you see, they keep on giving you this BS talking about some oh the Indians mix with blacks and all this other stuff. They mix with other black people. They were black themselves and they mix with other black people. And right here, another definition of it, it says also occasionally designating any dark skinned person. It says the N word was applied to dark skinned person of sub Saharan African origin or descent, belonging or relating to dark skinned people of sub Saharan African origin or descent. Also, occasionally designating any dark skinned person. So when you go look at this, right, get the pure understanding of it, and get the pure understanding of it, we get, if you go to the Pacific slave trade, hold on, wrong one, blacks around the world, here we go. When you go to the Pacific slave trade and you look at all these melanated people, right? When you go look at all these melanated people, when you go look at all these people, right? The different melanated people around the world. Can you please close the door? And please, when you go look at all these people from all around the world, you see that these people are melanated people. The N word could be applied to any persons, any dark skinned person of any origins. Any dark skinned person of any origins, like Indonesia, right? Papua New Guinea, Fiji. All right. So you see, anybody could be called the N word. It doesn't necessarily mean they're from Africa. Because that's the false perception of history that they gave you. They told you that all black people come from Africa, while the other people that is colorless have the whole entire world. See, we're literally the whole entire world. The whole entire world. All right. So we're gonna go back. Once I can find it, there we go. And boom. All right. And this right here in the sources. I don't know. A lot of y'all probably don't know about this court case, but it says the famous such case as Dred Scott versus Sanford. How many of y'all know anything about this court case? It's about the Indians trying to free themselves, but they was actually in words. They had to go to court trying to free themselves. It says, however exceptional the attention that case received, Dred Scott typified typified common practice in which slaves petitioned and sued for their freedom. And it says, in his argument in the case, Mason claimed that hundreds of the descendants of Indians have attained their freedom on action brought in this court, right? But it says it is impossible to judge the accuracy of these claims since most of the records in general court were destroyed during the Civil War. I wonder why. Why did they destroy most of these records during the Civil War? It is because these records prove that the Indians were Negroid, and it proved that majority of you were already free, and it showed proof that a lot of you came from your family was in servitude as well. So to limitate such remedy in the future, these records had to be destroyed for the sake of the Reconstruction period. These records had to be destroyed because, again, they had to take your identity and give it to somebody else and call you an African. Not even Africans call themselves Africans. And it says, finally, as late as 1769, Virginia laws describe free Indians, suggesting that enslaved Indians continue to exist by 1777. The term Indian had vanished from the state slave laws. And it says, see Jack D. Forby's African and Native American. I already read this. I showed you this. I showed you that book. All right. So our people was going to court trying to liberate themselves. Our people been on this. Our people was not stupid. Our people could read. They could represent themselves. But the white man told you that, no, you couldn't read. You were slow. You didn't know anything. You didn't know how to do anything. If you didn't know how to do none of those things, why are you in court? If a Negro couldn't read or write, why was they in court? So it appears that history is lying, saying that our people couldn't read or write. Our people was clearly reading and writing. But they just want to make it seem like you're dumb, you don't know nothing, you're slow, you're incapable of building or creating. They just want to make it seem like you're so inferior to everything underneath the sun. So they just constantly lie and lie and lie and destroy the paperwork so you won't be able to find out their lies. But again, these people got a fetish of letting you know little bits and pieces of the truth. All right. Where I left off there, it says the Indians could be found in all 13 mainland British colonies in 1772. as well as the French and Spanish colonies of North America. In Virginia alone, thousands of descendants of enslaved Indians toiled alongside African slaves on plantations. That is true. That did happen. But again, it wasn't a lot of Africans. And again, a lot of Africans came over here for indentured servitude. They was not captured. They did not lose their place with a damn musket that took about 5 to 10 minutes to load. Then when they shot, they had an 85% an accurate shot. So these people was not captured. They came over here willy-nilly, promised land, promised resources, promised a good status and all this shit. That's what happened. These people came on their own free will. The only reason Africans sided with us because some of them didn't get their reward after they servitude. So you see, it says Africans and Indians work side on side together. But again, why we never see a photo of a Native American and an alleged African working together in a plantation? But we got all these photos and sketches of black people working in the field, even old paintings. But we don't see a Native American and an African working together in the fields. But we always see like little portraits of them smiling, standing side by side together. But we never see an African and a Native American in the field. All we see is black people. So that should tell you something. Who the real Native Americans was. Who the real Native Americans was. Right? Peace, y'all. Everybody that's coming into the chat. Peace, peace, peace. Yeah, they $5 Indians. We should already be. All of us want to make change right now. It says Robin versus Hardaway, a repudiated this history and deemed the previously common institution illegal in all but a few circumstances. What does it say? Inaugurating a line of cases that accumulated in 1806. In the end, Virginia courts concluded that enslaved descendants of Native Americans were prima facie free, which means they are already free. They can't be enslaved, but they will still continue to be enslaved. Right? But again, Native Americans, I'm reading a modern as article from a college. So you're gonna have to dodge the hijack. A lot of this shit you're gonna have to dodge the hijack. Because we wasn't called no damn Native Americans. They keep on switching out American Indians and Native Americans and all this other shit. This is only talking about you in words. When they talking about Africans, they talking about Africans. But I need you to have the mindset of these were just black people and other black people from different lands all working together and they intermingle. Some people may have an African background. A lot of us don't have an African background. But Africans did intermingle with us. I want y'all to get that understanding. It doesn't mean your roots is from Africa. It just means you have a bloodline that goes back to Africa. One bloodline or probably two bloodlines. But again, all the way back to the 1619, that's multiple bloodlines. You can choose self-determination and identify what you want to identify as long as that is in your bloodline. So again, you hear from me. I'm not saying that the Atlantic slave trade, I like to call it the indentured slave trade. It did happen, just not to the degree that they said it happened. I'm telling you, it was less than 30,000 Africans that came to North America. We're talking 8%. Probably less than that. Because they change the numbers up every year. So we got to go to the old books to get a more accurate number. Right? So it's up to you to choose. But don't willy-nilly call yourself an African just because you feel like you're one. Find the information. But if you can't find the evidence that your people intermingle with Africans, I wouldn't say that. But if you got information to prove that your people is Indians, that's what I'll rock with. Instead of saying something that I can't even prove myself. You get what I'm saying? So let's go. Let's go. It says the precedent spread throughout the antebellum period. Courts in Connecticut, Louisiana. Did I read that? I ain't read that part. Judicially abolishing Indian slavery in Virginia. So, like I said, they was trying to say, "Oh, y'all free." Why you think there's a lot of black people as freedmen? I'm pretty sure y'all, every last one of y'all that did y'all genealogy, I'm pretty sure y'all came across a freeman's record. We got the most freeman records. Where is these Native Americans freeman records? If y'all allegedly is these so-called Indians of those times, why y'all never posted a damn freeman record? Because every time a freeman record is popped up, it's talking about us. It's facts that Indians had freeman records. They had something to prove that they was free. So, I mean, off top, the most free people in America is Indians. You gotta make it make sense. Where's your freeman record? See, that's the thing I keep saying. Native Americans, we need your birth certificate. We need to see what the race part said about you, and we need to see if you had a freeman's records. If the dolls roll, let me see if you got a freeman record to show proof that your people were slaves. Because I ain't seen none of that. All y'all keep throwing up is a reservation card. Here, reservation card. Here. I'm an Indian. This is proof that my enemy accepted me. Man, come on now. Sound like a fool. It's crazy. So now on, people, chat. When you come across a Native American, they bucket, ask them for a freeman's record. Your people were slaves, right? Ask them for a freeman's record. Ask them for a freeman's record. And see what they say. I bet they call you a wabo. It says Louisiana, Missouri, New Jersey, South Carolina, and Tennessee all grappled with Virginia's decision. Whatever Virginia did, that's what all the states did. When Walter Plecker said his Racial Integrity Act, all the other states followed suit. We was all going through it. And debated whether maternal descent from American Indians was sufficient to establish freedom. It says explaining this shift in the racial bias of slavery is more difficult than observing it. The Robin Court and successors merely to be engaged in statutory interpretation, and Mason argued for Indians' freedom on the basis of libertarian principles in Revolutionary War. Y'all should know about the Chickamauga Indians, the Civil War, all this other shit, the Confederacy. Man, this shit was popping off, y'all. I'm gonna be real with y'all. Y'all not gonna like this statement, but the majority of the N words was the Confederacy. Our people, if you got proof that you was part of the Chickamauga Indians, your people, your ancestors is the one that created that Confederate flag. White people did not create that shit. That was a war flag of the Chickamauga Indians. All right. I can bring it up for you. Let me bring it up for you. Chickamauga Indian Confederate Confederacy. Chickamauga Indians Confederacy. Where that flag at? There it is. Chickamauga Indian Confederate flag. I'm telling you, people, this was where it's at. Here it is, right here. This was the flag. That was the flag right there. See? See? It says Black Land, Chickamauga Indians, Lookout Mountain. Y'all created this. Whoever your ancestors was, if your ancestors was the Chickamauga Indians, that was your flag. White people did not do it. They hijacked it. They turned it into something evil. That's y'all. That's when I talk about Revolutionary War, Civil War. This was y'all. In fact, all Confederate flags were black people and were flags. Right? So you gotta change your perception. You can't let this race mess, corrupt your mind. You gotta know the truth. There's truth to everything. Now here we go. It says, explaining this shift in the racial bias of slavery is more difficult than observing it. The Robin Court and its successors claim merely to be engaged in statutory interpretation. And it says, and Mason argued, did I already read this part? Yeah, I already read this. Yeah, I already read this part. And it says the comment argues, however, that the ultimate grounds for this doctrinal innovation lay deeper in the changing demographics in earlier America. Although not the judge's conscience and motivation, Robin and progeny solidified chattel slavery rather than weakening it. Just by letting you know, there was no difference between chattel slavery and indentured servitude because they was all treated the same. They was all treated the same. It don't matter what you went by. A lot of our people, even if they was indentured servants, they still have to do more time after their contract. So if they contract say, oh, you're gonna work 10 years, some of them worked more than 10 years. That was illegal, but they still made them do it. They still made them do it. Now this part right here, it says by making Indians legally white, by making Indians legally white or black, as we shall see in some instances, the courts erase a complex triracial past and created instead a society legally divided into a stark categories of free whites and enslaved blacks. You see that? They made the Indians white. So when we go back, right? See how many people got? We only got 3. It's still cool. We're still riding. All right. So when you go back, right, to where is it? Walter Plecker and the Racial Integrity Act. that. Oops. I meant to put that. Here we go. It says a mixture of either of these crossings with true Negroes shall be designated as black, Negro, or colored. Again, Indians was called colored. And it says the term mixed, issue, and perhaps one or two others would be understood to mean a mixture of white and black races, with the white predominating. All right. And it says that is the class that should be reported with the greatest care, as many of these are on the borderline and constituted the real danger of race intermixture. Now here we go right here, the main part I want to get to. It says the term Indian will no longer be accepted for that class, but must be applied only to those of known pure Indian blood or those mixed with white. White blood is Indian blood. If there is a mixture of Negro, they must not be classified or classed as Indians, but as Negro or mixed Indian. Again, where I showed you, the Indians was already Negroes. And they talking about a mixture of Africans and Negroes. In this case, this happened in 1921. I think around 1921 or 1929. This after the fact where the Indians was already classified as white. They already classed them as white, so they already took their identity already. Right? Let's go back. I wanted to get to the part where it said he was trying to stop black people from marking themselves as white. I'm trying to find it. I thought I already highlighted it. Okay, I don't got much time for that. I'm gonna have to find this another time. Was it in this? Clicker, it is color. Yada, yada. Yeah, I might have to find this another time. Yep, I'm gonna have to find it another time. Moving on, going back. But in this article, like I said, it is basically telling you how how the whites took the Indians' identity, and basically what our ancestors was going through. It says by making Indians legally white or black, as we shall see in some instance. All right, so we're gonna go down right here. It says to understand the nature of this transformation, and it says the term. Okay, let me read this part. It says the array. Basically, when they did that, that was the true American Indian erasure. When they started classifying Indians as white, that was the true American Indian erasure, or what you call Native American erasure or indigenous erasure. You see right here, when it says by making Indians legally white, if you jump down right here, it says the erasure has present day legal consequences for federal tribal recognitions, struggles over tribal memberships, and interpretation of the Equal Protection Clause. So you see, this was the real indigenous erasure, taking the term Indian from black people, even though it was a bad term already, thus making it a positive term for white people, which I call them Mongolians too. You're white too. And there you go. That's the real erasure. But it says to understand the nature of the transformation, this comment builds to previously unconnected bodies of scholarship. It says a growing literature on early American history examines the formerly neglected role of Indian slavery and argues that the institution was far more widespread and important than previously thought. So they try to make Indian slavery less significant. But once you go into history and learn that Indians was the biggest slaves in America, and you try to compare that to the so-called transatlantic slave trade, and then if you learn that these same Indians was in the Atlantic slave trade, you will put two and two together and be like, well, these same people are the same people. So I mean, these Indians and so-called Africans, or what you call it, it's the same people that's being falsely classified as Africans when they always have been Americans. Yada yada yada. They did this stuff on purpose, so you wouldn't put two and two together. But I'm here to tell you that, shoot, it's over with. We here. We know the truth. We know the truth. It's over with. Once they put you on the seas, it's over with. They can classify you as anything. You can come from America and go to Brazil and say, oh, these are 27 Africans, even though you just came from West Virginia. Even though your tribe is in Virginia. So you hit that soon as you hit those seas, they're gonna call you African. But it says these works are heavily on court records, deeds, and other legal sources, and acknowledge the law's importance in passing. But they neglect the legal historical narrative. Why they do that? Why they be neglecting the real narrative? Because they too busy trying to paint a narrative and trying to take your identity. And it says by ending the chronologies in the mid 18th century, they overlooked the complex judicial debate over the legacy of Indian slavery in revolutionary antebellum America. By contrast, freedom suits, including those involving plaintiffs claiming Indian descent, have received a sustained analysis from legal historians as part of a larger literature of cases of racial determination, which the central and often sole legal issues was a person's racial status. So you see there? You see what's going on? They're creating the race system, the racial system. That's what they're doing. But look, there was a time when they wasn't even calling you black, white, green, blue, yellow. There was a time before 1772 they wasn't calling you black or none of these things. This is what they did. This is how they figured out who you was. Because again, there was a time they couldn't tell the difference between an African and American. There was a difference where they couldn't tell the difference between an African and American. I'm going to just be upfront with you. All melanated beings around the world, we all kind of have some type of similarity, but it doesn't mean we're the same people. That's just how it is. We're unique people. But this is what they did. This is how they figured out who we was when they brought all these people to America of different origins. And it says, in these instances, faced with the reality of a mixed race society that rarely aligned with legal categories. Courts turn to a variety of methods, right? Because again, we was all intermingling. Once they put the slaves and all their mess together, the POWs and everything together, they said they went by appearance. They really couldn't do that because they just say everybody's an N word. Ancestry, science, and reputation. Reputation. Now look, this word science, they wasn't doing no goddamn DNA test in 1772. They wasn't doing no paternal test in 1772. You know what their science was? One drop rule. That's what their science was. Was lookership. Again, all melanated beings look the same around the world. Some of us look Asiatic. Some of us look African. Some of us look more European. Come on now. Come on. But it doesn't mean we're the same people. They just couldn't tell us apart anymore because, again, they was just bluntly racist. Then you got to the 18th century, all of a sudden, you're less than a human. You came from a gorilla. They just kept on putting us under this inferior status, right? So what's popping off in the chat? What's popping off in the chat? Our elders clearly told next generations we were Indians, and the few generations want to claim African with no proof. That's facts. That's what's actually going on right now. That's what's going on right now. And these people still don't want to wake up. Then we got people that know they're Americans. They still want to push this African mess. Right? So let's see. Now it says, I'm going to jump on down. It says, first as, this is basically talking about the, let's fit again into the school system on why they doing this shit. This is what they did right here. And it says, first as with American legal history more broadly, the current scholarship on racial determination focuses primarily on the period between independence and Civil War. Basically, your school system is only focusing on racial determination, focuses primarily on periods between independence and Civil War. So what about before then? What were you before then? What were you called before then? They don't want to focus on that. They only want to focus on the time when race became a system, when it became a place. Man, I'm telling y'all, by sticking with race, they destroyed your identity. By sticking with ethnicity, they destroyed your identity. They destroy your self-determination. People are calling themselves black. They destroy your self-determination, self-identification. It says the period. I can't really say that. Periodization ignores the first 200 years of racial construction in America, making cases such as Robin that grapple with the colonial legal legacy unintelligible. So they basically saying we ignored 200 years. We ignored the beginnings of America. We're just gonna only deal with the racial part, with the Charles Darwin part, with the one drop rule part. That's the only parts we're gonna deal with. Anything else? forget it. Because if we go back and tell the truth and pull out documents of what the court said and what the colonizers said, that's going to destroy the whole entire school system. It's going to destroy everything. You can't call yourself African. You can't call yourself black. You can't call yourself BIPOC. You can't call yourself person of color. You can't call yourself colored. You can't call yourself none of that stuff once they deal with information before the racial system was created, which was the independence time and Civil War time. Man, I'm telling you. So we jump on down, and it says, in particular, this comment argues that the racial formations of the antebellum United States cannot be understood without reference to its earlier colonial history. The black-white divide that emerged during the Revolutionary period was neither natural nor organic, which means race and ethnicity is artificial. It's not biological. It's fake. It's a system. It's not natural, people. They're telling you right here in this modern article. And I don't even like reading modern stuff because there's a lot of stuff that you got to avoid. You got to read modernistic stuff, and you got to know how to dodge the hijack when reading this stuff. Because if you're just a regular person just reading stuff, you're just going to take everything at face value. So when you see African American, you ain't going to know, okay, that's some BS. African Americans is really Indians. Soon as you see American Indian, oh, those was N-words. Blah, 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 blah. You wouldn't know. So you're just going to say this. You got to go to other sources and other sources and other sources to prove what I'm saying. That's why I started this whole live telling you definitions and what other sources called these people. Before we before we jump to something modern. Know what I'm saying? Before you jump in something modern, you gotta look at what the old said first, so you can avoid the hijack. That's what you gotta do. Facts, the jig is up, Cannon. They only want to focus on the time when the 13 colonies won their independence. Exactly, because before then, that's where your true identity come into place. They don't want to tell you nothing about the King Philip in New England with the Indian Wars. They don't want to tell you nothing about that. The 13 colonies was prisoners of Britain. That is 75% right. Right? That is 75% right. Now we get into the origins of Indian slavery in America. It says the prevalence of African slavery in North America was not inevitable. Inevitable. I can't even say that fucking word. But you can see it on the damn screen. Inevitable. My Ebonics will not let me say it. But it says the fantastic prosperity of Spanish South America rested on forced Indian labor. Hold on, let's read that again. It says the fantastic prosperity of Spanish South America rested on forced Indian labor. Although Spanish colonies employed labels other than slavery. So they wasn't calling their people slaves. They was using different terminologies other than the word slave. For these practices, after the crown abolished Indian enslavement in the 16th century. So they was slick. That was like, okay, here's a loophole. It said don't have no slaves. Let's call them something else. That's what they did. They said, we're going to call them something else. instead of slaves. And that's how it happened. But it says the biggest laborers was Indians. I thought over a million something slaves came to South America. But in this modernistic article, they said it was Indians. Where you get the Indians from? Where they got the Indians from? My people. Boy. This newly it says this newly emancipated Indians, the English dream will gladly work for them, hoping to create a English empire of prosperity. So now the British colony looking at the Spanish and like, yeah, let's use the Indians. Let's use the Indians, yada yada yada. And it says too weak to overraw the Algonquins, they encountered English settlers, found themselves in Indians dependents, not their masters. They were forced to rely on the tribes for food and basic survival. And it says, far from empires of wealth and power, the first English colonies were wards of native hospitality. So you see, it says too weak to overwhelm the Algonquins. Where did the Algonquins go? The Algonquins went to the Caribbeans. And also you had the Carib people going to the British colonies. So you had the people like the Arawak coming to the colonies. And these people, what you call, are Jamaicans. Right? So we got that bloodline from the Caribbeans popping off in the British colonies as well. So, I mean, shoot. Stuff popping. So right now, people, I'm going to leave it right here. Then I'm going to make a part 2. And I'm going to go live on TikTok real quick. All right, y'all. So let's end the live right here. We're going to do the part 2 later on. Peace and blessings to y'all.